Tesla stock is up 2.5% today. We have a new bombshell. It's confirmed. Tesla stock is likely going much higher than you expect in 2024. That is because, according to Sawyer Merritt, we are cleared for liftoff. Jim Cramer says Tesla won't do well in 2024. Some people think this means Tesla could rally as high as $800 next year because of how notoriously wrong Jim Cramer tends to be at the wrong times. Think back to the banking crisis in March of this year. All things were contained with Silicon Valley Bank, according to Jim Cramer, and many other banks also fell victim. Most famously, back in 2007, when Jim Cramer said to buy Bear Stearns at $40 and some change, and the stock went to zero about 2 weeks later. Upon other recent phenomena, there's actually a whole ETF dedicated to playing the opposite of what Jim Cramer says. Jim Cramer says a stock is going higher, it falls. Jim Cramer says a stock is going lower, it rises. That is why there is this ETF called SJIM, for short Jim Cramer. It seems to be almost a self-fulfilling prophecy at this point. When Jim says something, people take the opposite trade. So it's probably more of a self-fulfilling prophecy than anything else. But still, I think this does mean Tesla has higher odds of moving higher. Here is specifically what Jim Cramer just said about Tesla for 2024.
With the exception of Tesla, which I believe will struggle next year as the bloom is off the electric rose. Yeah, we nailed it. We nailed it for you.
I think that couldn't be further from the truth. Roland Percher is reporting just today. In November, the Tesla Model Y again became the best-selling car of the year in China. This is out of 675 different car models and 19.1 million car sales. That's a big achievement because most of the competition is at a much lower price point. So Tesla, let's get this right, just took the crown from BYD to have the highest selling model in 2023 in China. And Tesla is selling very much a premium product. I mean, the BYD Quin Plus, which is second best-selling model in China, well, that sells for in between $18,900 and $25,700 US in China. So I would say Tesla is doing just fine. I would say Tesla is doing better than expected in key areas like the US and China. Roland Percher also reports that BEV is winning and the market share of BEV cars is growing in almost every European country. In Finland, you're up 100%, Belgium up 99%, Estonia up 86%, Denmark up 82%, Slovenia up 85%, and even Greece is up 80% this year. In fact, Tesla grew its year-to-date market share by 65%, or about 1.1% for a total market share in Europe this year. Tesla is the fastest growing car company in all of Europe. I should also mention this is during a period of time of record interest rates for Tesla's business. This is a time of real pressure on the consumer, record high inflation we haven't seen in 40 or 50 years, and Tesla's still putting up these numbers. Just imagine when interest rates fall next year, God forbid the consumer starts to be in a better position as real wages just went positive for the first time in the last 18 months. Let's not forget FSD entering into the Chinese market, or the introduction of a $25,000 mass market EV to be announced some point in 2024. None of these things are going to have a positive effect to Tesla stock, I would very, very much disagree with that. Tesla also has interest rate sensitivity. Tesla has been hurt not just fundamentally because it's harder for consumers to get loans today. It's more expensive to buy a Tesla than it previously has been, but just the Fed raising rates puts pressure on Tesla's long duration valuation. It puts pressure on Tesla's PE multiple, let alone, again, the fundamental aspects of the Fed putting pressure on Tesla as the Fed has raised rates over the past 18 months or so. You don't think Tesla, being an interest rate sensitive name, a high quality name, this, what I speculate, $20 trillion on the sidelines, you don't think any of that's going into Tesla in any meaningful way? I find that very hard to believe as well. But again, for one reason or another, when Cramer says to buy a stock, the stock tends to fall. When Cramer says to sell a stock, or a stock's going to perform poorly, the stock tends to do very well. And almost immediately after Cramer said Tesla is going to do poorly in 2024, Tesla stock is up 2.5% and likely to go even higher, and maybe much higher by even the end of this year. Tomorrow is going to be a big day for economic data. Unfortunately, we don't have time to cover that here in this video, but we will talk about that extensively in the next video coming out at 8:30 p.m. tonight. I'll just let you in on a little secret, maybe. Maybe it's a secret. I think the data is going to come in good and confirm this market rally. Let's now get into what's happening in the broader markets and all of your Tesla specific news. Let's actually start with some bad news. Tesla is facing a safety probe in Norway over suspension failures in its electric vehicles that could lead to a physical recall, Reuters reported on Thursday, citing the country's traffic safety regulator. They say the Norwegian Public Roads Administration began asking questions about Tesla in 2022 regarding complaints that there are issues in the lower rear control arms of its Model S and Model X cars, the report said. If the agency determines that the issue poses a serious risk, they could recommend recalling the models to have the lower rear control arms replaced, Reuters added. A little bit of good news here, though. The Model S and the Model X are not very popular vehicles. In Europe, they're really not very popular vehicles at all compared to the Model 3 or the Model Y. So this could be much worse, but still it looks like this could be a physical recall, and physical recalls are expensive. As of now, it's undetermined whether or not this will actually happen, so it's not having any impact on Tesla stock today. Tesla stock so far today has option activity from hedge funds and institutions of $99.21 million with a positive order value of 68%. So it's looking pretty dang good so far today. And right at about 4:30 p.m., we get the finalized numbers. So we'll go over them, but it does look like a lower dollar amount heading into Tesla today. But it's encouraging to see 68% positive order value. Most of the time with a big stock, you expect to see some negative option activity from hedge funds and institutions because odds are if they're placing options trades in Tesla, it's hedging a larger bullish position. Options are originally used for insurance, for hedging your portfolio. I should also note you have seen 624 different trades today, so quite a few different orders coming through. As far as the volume is higher than the open interest for this Friday, so that's looking good, at least on the call side. You have volume today of 57.81% to the call side, volume today on the put side of 42.19%, which that also looks pretty good. Tesla continues to be the most shorted stock in our markets with $21.81 billion worth of short positions, 3.25% of the float currently being sold short. This almost $22 billion sold short is going to become a big problem in 2022 as Tesla begins to really outperform. That's my expectation, at least. Walter Bloomberg says Tesla's Cybertruck deliveries are hostage to battery production hell. Tesla's Giga Texas factory is currently churning out 4680 battery cells at rates only sufficient to power about 24,000 Cybertrucks a year, or about a tenth of the required output, according to Reuters calculations based on a combination of public data and unpublished figures provided by sources. Sawyer Merritt says this is not true and misleading. 24,000 Cybertrucks per year is 461 per week. Tesla is clearly not producing that many yet, which means 4680 cell production is outpacing truck production output. Each Cybertruck contains 1,366 4680 cells. Tesla produced its 10 millionth 4680 cell in June of 2023. So if they are producing 4680 cells at a run rate of 24,000 Cybertrucks per year, they are making good ramp progress. Teslas are again the safest vehicles you can drive on the road. All Tesla models earning 5 stars, according to the NTSLA, the guys that seem to hate Tesla so much, in overall, so 5 stars overall, frontal, side impact, and rollover. Overall, their top safety picks are the Model 3 and the Model Y. The Model S and the Model X are not tested. For crash test, Tesla achieves the max score for the Model 3 and the Model Y, and achieves the max score for crash avoidance for the Model 3, also the Model Y. Tesla was also awarded Best in Class for the Model 3, Model Y, Model S, and the Model X. Apple has revealed that their next-gen CarPlay will first launch in some Porsches and Aston Martins. Below is a new official mock-up image. Apple's new CarPlay can power all of your car's screens and your entire instrument cluster, including heated/cooled seats, temperature, etc., without leaving CarPlay. The phone communicates with car's interface directly. Tesla Energy posted this video and says, after a grid outage resulting in a loss of refrigerated blood tests, vaccines, and medicines, Biodiagnostics prepared their facilities for future outages by installing solar and power walls, which this just highlights for a lot of different facilities around the world, in the US and elsewhere. They could really benefit from having a power wall and solar as a last ditch kind of resource to, keep important things readily available. I think this is personally a great way to promote Tesla Energy products. 50% of Ford dealers have opted out of selling EVs in 2024. They have chosen to stick with selling hybrids and internal combustion engine vehicles only in 2024. This, although may be bad for EV adoption, it's good news for Tesla. Ford dealers making it harder for potential Ford EV customers to buy an EV through Ford, well, that's just good news for Tesla. How could it not be good news? Wall Street Journal says at least 18 EV and battery startups that went public in recent years are at risk of running out of cash by the end of 2024. BMW aims to deliver more than 500,000 electric vehicles next year, says their CEO. Honda's American unit is recalling 2.5 million vehicles over risks of fuel pump failure that can cause an engine stall while driving and increase the chances of a crash. Dealers will need to physically replace the fuel pump module. If you've ever replaced a fuel pump in any of your cars or vehicles, it's not cheap. They have to get into the gas tank in most cases. It's not a cheap fix. General Motors said nearly 50% of its Buick dealers took buyouts this year rather than investing in selling and servicing electric vehicles. This is also big news as well. This was going to be the top story in today's video, the story we cover in the beginning of each of these videos that is the most important story or multiple stories, but Jim Cramer obviously took the cake on that one. How could that not? It's this. The Biden administration is discussing raising tariffs on some Chinese goods, including electric vehicles, in an attempt to bolster the U.S. clean energy industry against cheaper Chinese exports. This is wildly good news for Tesla, because Tesla's most important market is the U.S. Second is China. third is Europe, fourth is the rest of the world. We need the US to beat Tesla. We need Tesla to win the US. Tesla's not going to win the Chinese market. Good news is the Chinese market is so large, you don't have to be the number one player over there. Just being number 2 or number 3 or number 4 or number 5 is pretty sufficient when they're selling 19.1 million vehicles so far in 2023 during a relatively bad period for China's economy. But there has been a lot of companies that have talked about bringing their vehicles to the US. NIO plans to do that just this upcoming year in 2024. Well, increasing these tariffs are going to keep a lot of those companies away. And that's going to be good news for Tesla, because let's be honest, let's face the music here. If the second most popular Chinese model in China is the BYD Quin Plus, and this thing sells for $18,900 or $25,700, I mean, that's way cheaper than you can buy a Tesla in the US today. That means they probably have the margins to ship these vehicles to the US if the tariff was really low, right? So what's to stop BYD or anyone else from sending their vehicles to the US? Not much. You need higher tariffs or we just won't be able to compete. Now, obviously, Tesla sells a more luxury product. There's other reasons why people love Teslas, but I'm saying if there's less Chinese EVs on US streets or no Chinese EVs on US streets, that's a good thing. Rivian drives home Best Luxury Brand title in the US News Best Vehicle Brands of 2024 awards. Tesla now finally lets you turn off auto wipers when FSD or autopilot is engaged on Model 3 and Model Y. Here on the day today, we did get one important piece of data. That was the final GDP growth rate for Q3. This number was expected at 5.2% as per markets. That's what the markets were expecting. I was expecting something in the high 4s, if not low 5s. I wasn't expecting a big move down or up. And it came in pretty much in line with my expectations at 4.9%. I believe I actually said 4.9%. Seemed logical to me in one of the other videos. This is good news, right? Because right now in the markets, inflation is falling, economy is holding up. That's what you want to see. If either inflation starts to move higher, that's bad. Or if the economy starts to get worse from here, that's also bad. We did get some soft data that came out today. One of these in particular is a little bit concerning. Actually, a lot. Very concerning. Let's not sugarcoat this. It's from the Philly Fed. So Philly Fed business conditions improved. That's good. Philly Fed CapEx was negative 7.5. That's honestly good. CapEx, you want to see that low. Philly Fed employment came in at negative 1.7. Not a big deal. Philly Fed new orders came in at negative 25.6. The last month's reading was 1.3 positive. So a negative 25.6 number is very bad. Philly Fed prices paid also jumped to 25.1 from 14.8 last month. That new orders number is really, really bad. Fed Harker said yesterday the economy appears to be slowing faster than the data is suggesting, which this is one of those data points that says maybe the Fed is right. Maybe that's why the Fed is okay with the markets currently pricing in almost 7 rate cuts for 2024. We do have a new AI investor sentiment survey that was for the week ending December 20th. You have a new high for bulls, a 1-year high at 52.9%. Neutral investors fell to the lowest point we've seen in quite a while to 26.2%. The bears actually increased from 19.3% to 20.9%. So that's actually a great sign. Seems like neutral investors are getting squeezed here. Actually, if we see more neutral investors flip to the bears side, that would be great news for our markets. Tesla's global inventory numbers seem to be on a big decline for the Model Y. That is great news. Probably running down inventory at this point, which is fantastic. We're heading into the end of Q4, which, I mean, if you want to take advantage of the $7,500 tax credit, you got to take delivery here before the end of this year. So that is potentially what could be causing that. That could be a really good sign. Model 3 is increasing a little bit, but the inventory numbers are really, really low right now. And the Model S and the Model X are just strangely low. They have been strangely low for a while. So I'm not exactly sure what's happening with the Model 3, Model S, and Model X. But I can tell you, in my area that I live in Michigan, inventory is basically nothing for your rear wheel drive Model 3. Tesla seems to be ramping up advertising a little bit. They're now running 400 ads with Google. They were running 200, then they were running about 300 for a while. Now they're running 400 different ads. We'll talk about this a little bit more in the next video. 10-year treasury yields up almost 2 basis points today to 3.89%, but we've fallen so much. Even just yesterday, 10-year treasuries lost like 7 basis points. So this, not a big deal at all. Stocks are actually moving higher today. The Russell is up 1.16%. The NASDAQ up almost 1%. S&P up 0.63%. And the Dow is up about 0.5%. So even though 10-year treasuries are up almost 2 basis points, it's not having an effect at all on our markets today. Tesla's RSI has reset back to a comfortable 59.24. Yesterday, it was at about 66, which is still a lot lower than where the SPY or the QQQ or IWM is. So Tesla right now looks primed for a larger upside move, and that move could be coming tomorrow. I expect a large move. We'll talk about that in the next video as well. There's actually lots of technical indicators right now that suggest Tesla could rally aggressively from here. Some individuals think Tesla could even rally to $400 by the first half of 2024. Yeah, that's going to be exciting in the next video. That's going to do it for this one. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. If you guys want to come trade with us live in real time as well, link down below in the description of this video. Thank you for watching. My name is Michael Tyler. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.